The book of Genesis is the very first book of the Bible, and it tells the story of beginnings. The word Genesis itself means beginning or origin. In this book, we learn about the beginning of the world, the beginning of humanity, the beginning of sin, and the beginning of God's relationship with his people. Genesis lays the foundation for everything that happens in the rest of the Bible. The story begins with creation. In the first chapter of Genesis, the Bible teaches that God created the heavens and the earth. Before creation, the earth was empty and without form. Then God began to create the world step by step. On the first day, God created light and separated the light from darkness. On the second day, God created the sky to separate the waters above from the waters below. On the third day, God gathered the waters together so dry land could appear, and he created plants, trees, and vegetation. On the fourth day, God created the sun, the moon, and the stars to give light to the earth and to mark seasons, days, and years. On the fifth day, God created the creatures of the sea and the birds of the air. On the sixth day, God created animals that live on land. Finally, God created human beings. The Bible teaches that humans were created in the image of God. This means that humans are special and have value, purpose, and the ability to know and relate to God. The first man was named Adam, and the first woman was named Eve. God placed them in a beautiful place called the Garden of Eden. The garden was full of life, beauty, and everything they needed. God gave them responsibility to care for the garden and to live in harmony with creation. However, God gave them one command. They were not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But in Genesis chapter 3, something important happens. A serpent appears and tempts Eve to eat from the forbidden tree. The serpent convinces her that eating the fruit will make her wise like God. Eve eats the fruit and then gives some to Adam, and he also eats it. This moment is known as the fall of humanity. It is the moment when sin enters the world. Because of their disobedience, Adam and Eve are forced to leave the Garden of Eden. Life becomes harder, and humanity begins to experience suffering and separation from God. Even though humans disobeyed, God still shows mercy. God makes clothing for Adam and Eve and promises that one day evil will be defeated. This promise becomes the beginning of God's plan to restore humanity. As the story continues, Adam and Eve have children. Their sons Cain and Abel bring offerings to God. Abel's offering pleases God, but Cain becomes angry and jealous. In a moment of rage, Cain kills his brother Abel. This is the first murder recorded in the Bible. The story shows how sin quickly spreads through humanity, bringing jealousy, anger, and violence. As generations pass, the world becomes more and more corrupt. People become filled with wickedness and violence. In Genesis chapter 6, the Bible says that the thoughts of human hearts were continually evil. Because of this, God decides to cleanse the earth through a great flood. However, one man named Noah finds favor in God's eyes because he lives righteously. God tells Noah to build a large ark, a huge boat that will protect his family and animals from the coming flood. Noah obeys God and builds the ark exactly as instructed. When the time comes, rain falls for 40 days and 40 nights, and water covers the earth. Everything on land is destroyed except for Noah, his family, and the animals inside the ark. After many days, the waters begin to recede, and the ark comes to rest on land. When Noah leaves the ark, God makes a covenant, or promise, with humanity. God promises never to destroy the earth again with a flood. As a sign of this promise, God places a rainbow in the sky. The rainbow becomes a reminder of God's mercy and faithfulness. As time passes, humans begin to multiply again. But people once again become prideful. In Genesis chapter 11, humanity gathers together to build a massive tower called the Tower of Babel. Their goal is to reach the heavens and make a name for themselves. This act shows human pride and the desire to live without God. In response, God confuses their languages so they can no longer understand each other. Because of this, people scatter across the earth and form different nations and cultures. After this, the story of Genesis focuses on one man named Abraham. God calls Abraham and makes a special promise to him. God promises that Abraham will become the father of a great nation. God also promises that through Abraham's descendants, all nations of the earth will be blessed. Even though Abraham and his wife Sarah are old and have no children, they trust God's promise. Eventually, Sarah gives birth to a son named Isaac. Isaac grows up and later has two sons named Esau and Jacob. Jacob eventually becomes known as Israel, and his 12 sons become the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel. One of Jacob's sons, Joseph, plays a very important role in the final part of Genesis. Joseph's brothers become jealous of him because their father loves him deeply. Out of jealousy, they sell Joseph into slavery and send him far away to Egypt. Even though Joseph experiences hardship, God remains with him. Over time, Joseph rises from being a slave to becoming a powerful leader in Egypt because of his wisdom and his ability to interpret dreams. Eventually, a great famine strikes the land. Joseph's brothers travel to Egypt looking for food, not knowing that Joseph is now a powerful ruler there. When they meet again, Joseph eventually reveals his identity to them. Instead of seeking revenge, Joseph forgives his brothers and helps them survive the famine. This moment shows the power of forgiveness and God's ability to turn suffering into something good. By the end of Genesis, Joseph brings his entire family to live safely in Egypt. The descendants of Abraham begin to grow into a large people group. This prepares the way for the events that will happen in the next book of the Bible. In the end, the book of Genesis teaches many important lessons. It shows that God is the creator of everything.